Can you hear me?
Kinda. You're pretty quiet there.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch my mic here.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep, I got it.
Ooh. I got one of these 360 cameras. It's hard to show it in the mirror, but anyways, it's a 360 video conferencing camera, but you can select different modes. So you can do for like conference room. So I got it for a conference room downstairs. I'm playing with it, but you can also do where you do like this mode where you have it like talking to you. I have my upper screens enabled, but it's kind of cool. That's how we felt with it.
Yeah, cool.
What we got going on here, guys?
Playing with I got this like 360 camera for the for our conference room. I'm just playing with it.
Gotcha.
You can also do it like in a regular camera mode. I have everything on my upper screens right now, but it's kind of fun. But you can also do that like the presenter modes or the 360 modes like that.
Y'all can ignore me. I'm just getting prep set up for call here in just a sec.
I actually have something for you. I was thinking about.
Again,
I forgot what it was. I was going to tell you something. I completely forgot what it was.
I'll have to show you guys what Drew sent me the other day. It's already hanging.
Are you at home?
No, I'm at the office, but I got a picture of it I can share. It looks awesome.
I can't believe it made it without getting bent. I was like,
Dude, you packed the snot out of that thing.
But it was all my wife's HelloFresh boxes.
Yeah. All right, let's see if we can get this display worked out.
Use my regular video. Come on. But my other camera.
It's 11 o'clock.
What's my other camera?
Hey, I'm gonna log out. I'm gonna log out and log back in real quick.
I see. So, hey, what's up, Casey? How you doing, man?
Hey, everybody.
And I see the name Pepe.
Yes, hello.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm back again. Sorry, I had vacations and a lot of other projects. So some weeks I could not attend, but yes, today I have yes, really issues with because really I hadn't time enough to continue, but now I'm nearly yes to cut out something, but I have issues with the calibration and already sent a mail, but what
Okay.
is really a little bit it's strange to me. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see your screen. I'm gonna spotlight
okay,
you
but
for everybody.
I have no issues in the width, but in the high, yes. And here 6 millimeters in a total of around 400. I have 6 millimeters less. Yes, and I cannot explain exactly where's the issue. And I tried to here to do some other cutouts in the center, for example. Everything is okay. But when I go a little bit above, then it becomes 0.5 millimeters and then 1 millimeter. So.
Yep. So let me ask, which version of Makerverse are you using right now?
Oh, I don't know exactly.
Do you have Makerverse open right now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so if you go to your settings and then click the About button there, it should tell you. Yep.
And
There should be info right there.
Hmm.
1.1.3. Okay, so that should be fine. Okay, so can you back up and show us your full setup?
pardon?
Your full. Can you back up and show us your full frame?
Mhm.
No, I mean your actual like the frame that we have behind us. Can you back up the camera and show us your actual machine?
Okay, okay.
Hey, bud, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, Dustin. All right. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. So what happens when you go through edge calibration?
Oh, I did the edge calibration, and afterwards, after the calibration, I do the edge calibration again, for example, just to
Mhm.
see if everything works fine. And yes, and each edge after the calibration have really 0. So I don't know exactly now what to do.
Yeah, that's really strange. So your edge calibration, you're coming out right on the line.
Yeah.
But when you're actually cutting up high, you're not getting that level of accuracy you need. The only other thing I can think of is there's something weird about the way that your frame is understood in the software. But Casey, guys, what thoughts do you all have on this one? I'm just thinking, I mean, the obvious easy answer is to elevate the top beam and go to a larger 15-foot chains.
Well, generally your 15-foot chain helps you on your side-to-side measurements, your left and right external or the far reaches in the corner. I guess my first thing would be to go back to simplicity and make sure, are you using easel to do this?
No, I'm using Fusion 360 for.
That
Okay.
may be part of the problem too. Then you may have some issues with translating the G code it's generating when you break it into Makerverse. Because
Yeah.
yeah, it should be, if it's doing it in the middle, it's not, I don't think it'd be a chain issue. I'm with Casey. Usually I want to see the far extreme corners as a chain issue.
Yeah, I mean, I know that in the past, I've actually created my drawings in another software. And then I exported them as a flat file into easel, and easel, then I loaded them into easel as the STL. And for some reason, when I loaded them into easel and the STL, all the dimensions changed by about 5 or 6 millimeters.
Mhm.
Wow.
And it took me a while to figure out why it was doing that. And
But he's got accuracy in the center of the board as well.
So
right?
the 2 big blocks in the center are accurate.
Right? Isn't that correct? You've got when you're doing the test cuts in the center, you're getting the accurate measurement, right?
Yes. In the center, it's accurate. Right. I get the right dimensions.
In that case, then I'm not sure if it's the longer beam, but you might want to check your motor height to make sure your top beam is level with your waste board.
Is it only doing it on one side? So if you go to the right side, kind of middle, is it okay versus the left side middle? Is it okay? Because I've had I've had my beam a little off. Like I did get my top beam a little unlevel on one of my builds, and I was like, what the heck? And then I went back and measured it, and sure enough, it's like just like down like a 1/4 inch on the right side of my top beam.
You mean these dimensions, right?
Yes,
So,
that's right there. Yep.
No.
Oh,
You need
no,
to
from the
measure
top is-
you need to measure the center of the motor shaft.
yeah, I know.
Sprocket down.
It's from here then to.
Yeah, but make sure it's
From
the
the
exact
motor-
center of the motor shaft. Yeah, right there to the top of the board.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I actually have a video on YouTube. I'll send you a link to the YouTube thing in the chat, but it shows you how to measure at the 15-degree angle to get that proper motor height to make sure that you're perfectly dialed in.
Mhm.
Yeah, the reason I mentioned the longer chains, guys, is just because of the opportunity. Again, if he's seeing accuracy in center, but he's getting inaccuracies at the top, then to me, that's less of a G code issue. And it could be something that, while not always the perfect solution, it can help to just extend that top beam up, right? And just give you more gap, because the tighter those chains are laterally, the less accurate it gets. But typically I see that leading to like kind of bounciness or waviness in the line, and less just like all in down 6 millimeters or whatever, right? So I'm still a little bit flummoxed by this one.
Yeah,
But I
I
think
don't think it's a chain issue. I don't think it's, I don't know. But maybe if you try, have you tried doing a test in easel? Just do like a square and easel and see if your accuracy, if it's accurate with easel, and that will at least eliminate that. Can really quickly. Hey, if you do like a 200 millimeter square and easel, and just have it do that and say, okay, when I do it with easel, it's right on. Then that eliminates all like your frame and chain issue, and there's something to go along with translation from.
Okay, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yes, you see, what is really strange to me, because all dimensions are not correct, but you see here, I have here, it should be 45 and it is 42, but the next dimension here is 25 and it is exactly.
Yeah, that's why I keep going back. I think it's a software issue. However you convert it from your 360 to into Makerverse, because are all of those off, or I hear you say earlier the two boxes there, the two big ones on the left side, those are accurate? Or are those out of they're not correct either?
No, they're not correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you, Casey. I think there's too many, since there's only parts of the design they're doing that way. I think it's just lines and the segments. Some of the segment of the object are getting translated properly, but others are not. Like I think, because
the test that he did down here in the center, the box, Pepe, could you go down there? Yeah, that piece right there that you did right there, that's not from that same G code where everything was inaccurate. So
right. This is not from the G code, right?
And it comes out great, right? And you're going, well, it's not an accuracy issue. Well, that's okay, but I would take that same little piece that you did there and move up and try to cut it somewhere over there. And if it's accurate,
good idea.
then that tells you that your original G code from that set, something, hey, it's computers, who knows, anything could freaking happen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not called confusers for nothing. I mean, they're not your friend.
What? They're my friend, my only friend.
So anyway,
where in Germany are you?
Got one that works and one that doesn't. They're two different G codes. One's a simpler G code than the other one. But it looks to me like your other set that you have up there, some of it is translated correctly, some of it does measure out, some of it doesn't. But I don't see any major skewing left or right. And if every measurement is off, then I would totally agree with Patrick that, man, you probably need to look at your chains. But it also tells me that you may have one side of your beam, and this is the weird thing, is one side of that top beam, you could be 5 millimeters off. You would never see that with the human eye. As long as that beam is, one beam could be down 5 millimeters or up 5 millimeters. It's really important that that thing is square to that waste board. So definitely check that.
Okay, I will do it.
Yeah, I'm currently trying to set up our XL frame in the office right now, and you guys check out freaking this top beam. You'll see the bow in that thing. That's Lowe's quality lumber right there.
That's why I got shop Home Depot, man. Mr. Big always says Home Depot.
Look at that thing. It's terrible. I'm just take it back.
I'll show you. I'm gonna run downstairs real quick too. I'll show you. That's what I had to do with mine. So there's an easy way to do it if you're depending on what frame you're using. But I did kind of the half-ass way, just lift it a little bit, unscrewed it and lift it just a little bit. But
yeah, well, he's going down. I was going to say I went to Home Depot and spent the extra money on is it like Buell or something like that, which is kind of a signature lumber, which was much straighter, but they were like $3 more a board.
Oh, man, I would pay that on the top beam for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I spent like 45 minutes just digging through their pile, finding the perfect boards. And I don't care if they're upset with me or not. I'm just went in at like at 6 o'clock in the evening and just went through everything until I found the perfect ones. And I think that's really saved me.
Yeah, I'll probably go end up doing that. With this guy here, I even, like, when I was mounting it, I even like clamped it to a straighter beam and then mounted it to the upright post and then mounted the lower top beam. And then I unclamped it and went right back. So like there was no changing it.
Yeah, I got this one off too. And so there's ways you could twist those, but with this frame, you can see where it's painted. And then I came back there. I'm sorry, Mr. Biggs loves doing that when I get on conference calls. But you can see where I unscrewed it, just lifted it just a hair there. And that's got this frame like perfectly calibrated.
Yeah.
And the other one's pretty much the same thing, but yeah, don't buy that cheap wood. Everybody, whenever I go to Home Depot, everybody's already got stacks of wood. You can see they have, at least at Home Depot, they have an area where you can scrap all the warp boards and all that. And so, because they know people are gonna go through them and sort out all the good boards. And
This
bad
is the
boards.
last 12-foot beam they had at Lowe's, which is the only reason I got it. I was like, I can figure it out. I can work with it. And no, it's just not going to do it.
Hey, Casey, were you the one I saw somewhere that said that they took two 2x4s and like laminated them together to create more rigidity so they wouldn't bow? Or is that somebody else?
I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Okay.
No matter what you do, if you're just using 2x4s white pine like that, I don't care how many you laminate next to each other, that tells you that they're going to bow. The ones that don't bow because of the grain, right? Every board runs with the grain of the tree. That's how they cut them. So the only boards that won't warp or won't bow in that angle is going to be something laminated plywood, because one set of grain goes this way, the next set goes this way, the next set, right? That's how plywood is made. I mean, the plywood, the grain is always against the next layer of grain. So that's the only wood that is not going to bow in a lateral fashion. It'll bow like this. It'll, if the board's laying flat, it'll eventually bow like this, but you never see it warp this way. It won't, it can't. So, I mean, if you cut a bunch of boards out of that, right, and laminate the crap out of them together, you could.
I haven't had issues though in all the years, and I'm in a humid area. Casey and I are both.
Did we lose him?
Probably. He might have stepped out of Wi-Fi there.
Yeah.
David, how's it going there?
Going okay. I'm
But
trying to
I
get
really-
an
Okay,
image
I'll
of
sign it.
Makerverse.
You can also use like I see people using like angle irons and metal like this. Like this stuff's cheaper here. This metal. I see people making metal frames out of this stuff that's galvanized here. But there's other people that are doing like kind of a bunch of. You can also make a metal one.
Yeah.
And I scrap. You can get scrap metal everywhere. I have tons of scrap.
All right, Drew, we're gonna help David here with his issue. So David, what you got going on?
I'm trying to get an image of Makerverse, and I guess to set up an account, you got to log in and confirm via email on the same computer, right? Because I tried just doing it just a minute ago with first logging in on Makerverse and then checking my email on a different machine, and it won't allow me to confirm it on the different machine. It must use a cookie or something.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So
You can use a different machine. Did you check on your email? Did you verify your email?
I tried verifying the email, and when I click through, it says it's not allowed.
That's weird.
Did you find it in the actual email, or is it missing?
Well, I believe the email is from Open Workshop.
Open Workshop, that is correct.
And when I click through, let's see here.
You can definitely use it on multiple machines because I have it installed on like 4 different machines because we have 3 Maslows, and but also we have it, and I use just one account for it all. And then we have
No, it's when I first sign in. I'm trying to find the error message it generated. Give me a minute here.
Yeah, you'd be curious. I can
think
pass
that-
that
I
along
think
real
you
quick to the
posted-
workshop.
I think he posted it on Facebook. I seen that pop up this morning. It asked him to, you got an error message said you needed to re-log in or something like that, right?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm looking for the error message here. It says, please log in to return to the application. And it says this site can't be reached and gives the the IP address, refuse to connect. Try checking the connection, checking the proxy and firewall. Error, connection refused.
Yeah, there's another one. There's another one on this same thing this morning where a gentleman tried to log in. Patrick, this one's for you. That a gentleman tried logging in and it says the MakerVerse certificate has expired and asks him to re-log in and he can't get into the system.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there something else going on there?
that's weird.
Maybe that's-
MakerVerse, what was that again?
Certificate has expired.
Certificate. Yeah, your Microsoft certificate has
Yeah,
expired.
or whenever you all get errors like that, the best thing y'all can do is actually send screenshots. So when you all send it to support, we can actually see the actual error. That's the best thing y'all can do as well.
We've got issues on our back end of our website right now where Shopify is totally down on the back end. That seems to be like a Shopify wide issue, but this should not be the same platform. So this is really weird that this is happening simultaneously.
And so you might want to elevate that to Mr. Chris there.
Yeah.
Patrick, and maybe see. But I don't know, if you look on the Facebook page, just a couple of posts earlier this morning, you'll see one where he has the Mace took a screenshot of the message in MakerVerse.
Okay. So yeah, David, I would say go ahead. Mike is right. Go ahead and just submit a quick ticket so that we can inform you. If there's an issue on our end that's causing this, we can give you the heads up as soon as it's resolved.
Right. Okay. Well, that's kind of where I am on that. The other thing, I haven't yet connected up the motor cables, but I have got the frame and got the motors installed on it.
Huh?
When I put the chains on and a 15-foot chains on a 12-foot frame, doing it according to the instructions, the chains were so long that the sled is actually sitting on the floor in front of the frame.
Are you following the new XL instructions?
Yes.
Okay. I'd have to see your frame set up to see what's going on there specifically. The overall length of the chains, that shouldn't be a major issue.
Well, I was a little surprised. I mean, I haven't turned anything on because I haven't plugged in the motor cables yet, but I was a little surprised that following the instructions, you end up with the board probably 6 inches below the bottom of my workspace. And, you know, that's, it's the top beam is about 30 inches down I'm sorry, 30 inches above the top of the 4x8 workspace. And the floor is about a foot below the 4x8 workspace. And the way the setup instructs you to do it, the chains maybe 6 inches below that. I like I say, I assume
straight down, or when they're coming out and you're connecting the sled?
I connected the sled and there is so much slack that it hangs below the 4x8 workspace.
There's still a ton of slack. So yeah, I'd have to see your workspace. I'd have to see what it looks like, see what could be causing that issue. We've had a few others definitely go through that process and they got the frame up and running just fine. So I don't know.
No question. I mean, I expect when I plug everything in, it will move the motors and lift the sled, but I just was surprised it wasn't on the workspace when I followed the instructions.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, it should have excess slack so that it can travel further. That's kind of the point. It gives you that freedom. But yeah, the biggest question for you then is going to be making sure that the top spring slack is not so excessive that when you're at the top of the frame, the spring is slackening, right? Or that when you get to the bottom left or bottom right, it's so tight that it's overstretching the spring.
Right.
That's as long as you're in that kind of sweet spot range, everything else is going to be fine. And it doesn't matter where you start out right here. It's
Right. I've also got a question for the community. Right now, I have the kind of kicker board sticking perpendicular to the workspace to support the bottom of a 4x8. But I recognize that it sticks out so far, it's going to interfere with the sled when I get near the corners. Most people do use just a skirt and they chop off those kickers, or what are people using that or they find is not an issue because they're never in the corners?
You talking about the feet protruding
Yes.
forward?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my thought, but
You use a skirt then, or what do you use, Drew?
I screw them to the back. So this one, I still have it on there because I'm not doing things where I'm dropping the sled past it. But you could also do them really thin. So you don't have to, if you get like even an 1/8 inch, it's gonna be enough to have a board sit on it. But a lot of times I just cut them off.
Well, and the other thing I would say is that the one change we're planning to make to the frame is we're going to elevate, even on the standard frame. Well, first thing first, we're going to move everybody to 15-foot chains. That's something that we're going to start doing at the end of this year. Is everybody's going to get 15-foot chains in their box, and it's going to have, each chain is going to have 3 different colored marks on it. Like green, actually, it's going to have 6 colored marks on it. 3 different colors. So 2 yellows, 2 blues, and 2 greens or something. And each one of those marks is going to represent the mini frame, the standard frame, or the XL frame, right? So it's going to be super easy to set up. But one of the things we're going to do with the standard frame and all the frames going forward is we're going to lift the canvas a little bit higher, about 4 to 5 inches higher. And then on the standard frame, on all of them, actually, we're going to elevate the top beam a little bit as well, right? So what that's going to do is give you that clearance in the corners on the bottom, but it's also going to give you a lot more accuracy in the top center of your frame. On the standard frame, it won't give you the accuracy in the bottom left, bottom right corner like the XL frame will, but it'll still give you a little bit more accuracy up in the top center, which gives some issues right now as well. So there are some changes coming to these frame designs when we go to launch Makerverse 2.0. So that should be coming about January 1st is the tentative timeline for that. So just heads up there. You'll be way past these issues at that point yourself, David, but we are aware of some of these little like nailing things that we need to fix to make things a lot easier for the users.
I was also curious. It seemed like there were some extra parts in the kit that I received, and I don't know if you've updated that. The chain sprockets that travel with the spring.
Yep.
That bag had some just plastic tubes and some excess nails and so on. I didn't know whether. Yeah, I don't like having an assembly complete and find I've got a bunch of extra parts. That always gives me a little bit of an uneasy feeling.
Yeah, those plastic pieces are typically, they were really well used a lot in the old kits before the top spring. And we keep them in there for the mini frame. They essentially work like little idlers. So they're there to manage your chain slack typically with the old bungee system for chain management. But yeah, they are excess right now, but again, they will likely be utilized to some degree with the mini frame in our future versions of that assembly guide. But you don't need them.
Okay. Okay, and if anybody wants some 11-foot chains, you ship me an extra set. So bargain here if somebody is interested.
we also get a lot of requests from people saying, hey, just look, I don't want to pay for the 15 and the 11, just swap them out. It's like, well, we batch these with the 11-foot chains by standard, and then we would have to go through, like, they're the bottom of the box. We have to get all the way in there and pull. It would cost us more money to take them out every time. So that's why eventually at the end of after Black Friday and all that, we're going to go through and unbox all of these kits that we have remaining. And we're actually going to update the 11-foot chains to 15-foots. We're going to connect and then break all the excess 11-foot sets we have right now and go to that 15-foot setup. So
you don't want to throw in a free chain link tool and another 4 feet and tell people to do their own extension?
Nope. Because I'll tell you what, the group here doesn't fully represent the variety of experience that exists within the community. And you look at a chain breaker and they just go, nope, different machine entirely.
I get it. I spent this morning surfing YouTube looking at spray painting robots that operate on the same concept as this CNC.
Drew has one. Well, he has a marker one.
It looks pretty cool. They had people doing the sides of buildings and chimneys and so on. It was interesting.
Yeah,
Andrew, what's it
I
called?
painted one of our walls with, so I have one of our walls that I have dry erase paint on. And then, yeah, I know my camera's kind of crazy, but I need to switch modes. Let's call it. But yeah, it's this one's actually pretty cool. I have problems with it jamming. It's a Scribbit. I have problems with it jamming markers every now and then. But so I do a lot of just single color, but it works really well. It's basically that you just put two little nails in. You go to scribbit.com.
I saw Scribbit.
Yeah.
I saw Scribbit, but this was a larger thing that used cans of spray paint and did, basically a whole brick wall or something.
Oh, that's cool.
Anyway,
One sec, guys.
Hey, Patrick, I'm mailing you some of that. I'm mailing y'all, I'm having Amazon ship it to you. Just a pack of that 2-layer ABS.
Talking to me, Drew?
Yeah, I'm sending, I'm ordering Amazon Prime. It says it'll be there tomorrow, but a pack of that 2-layer ABS.
Okay.
The
Oh, thanks.
all the different color stuff, because I think that'd be cool for somebody else marketing, because it's really cool.
Sweet, thanks. I want to show you all something real quick too. This is going to be so we're converting all those old Jumpstart kits into laser only M2s, like we talked about. Here's the mount for it actually. Oh, let me grab the laser. It looks really good.
how thick of a material can the laser handle?
I mean, it can engrave most anything that a laser can engrave, right? But in terms of cutting, that's what we're testing. So Drew here says that it can cut through like foam core,
Oh.
but we're working on it and trying it out. But it doesn't really, the 2.8 is made for engraving, not for cutting. But
Yeah. This foam board,
it's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah,
Right. So that's what we'll be doing that's going to be our big holiday item,
that's smart.
right? Isn't that going to be great? I think $10.99 is what we can sell it for. So should be pretty sweet. I think people will like that a lot. 4x8 foot laser engraver.
So if you go to Dollar Tree and you want stuff to practice with the laser, if you get the laser kit, this stuff is great. This foam board, we use a lot of this.
Yeah. See, we've got Joel testing that out right now, Drew.
I sent you some. I purposely packaged it with a bunch of it. That's part of the reason I meant to tell you that. I purposely packaged it with, I meant to put the 2-layer ABS in there. I forgot to, but
Yeah.
I purposely packaged it with some of that Dollar Tree stuff. It does work good. You gotta be careful to get too hot because it burns a little bit, but it's fun for practicing.
How nasty is the smoke that it generates when it burns that stuff?
Not bad. Because that stuff is so fast. Most of it's foam. It's just a thin layer of paper, just like sheet paper on top, and then with a thin layer of foam. And so honestly, it may be getting clear smoke that I don't know about, but yeah, this stuff too. You get this stuff in thin, and it'll cut this stuff pretty well too. Because this is what we're using for. We're doing a sign today with our Mazda.
Yeah. Hey, Drew, could you record that? If you're cutting that with
Yes.
the M2, I would love to see you cut that.
I got Wisecam V3s, and I've been using those for doing making sure we get at all the machines, and that way I have them set up so they're doing time lapse.
Right on. Perfect. That's awesome. Thanks. Shoot, what was I going to say about that? I don't know. Well, we've been working with Casey on new versions of the laser. We're eventually wanting to launch an actual laser cutter, right? A true wood laser cutter. They can cut 1/4 inch. So Casey's been helping us out there quite a bit. He's obviously like an enormous knowledge center around lasers. Drew as well has been helping quite a bit with that too. But I'm hopeful that next year we can launch our own laser cutter, David, at a lower price point than we're charging for, or about the same price point we're charging for this thing right now. I think we can accomplish it.
Are y'all playing with are y'all playing with the 13 watt, or which one are y'all playing with right now?
Casey, you got I think you have a 15 watt there, or is it a 20? I'm sending you a 30.
I have the one that you've already sent me is a 15 watt. And I actually just finally, after 2 weeks, received the reply from the manufacturer. And the only thing they gave me was a user manual. I'm looking for wiring instructions. I asked them about a wiring kit. I said, hey, I'll buy it. Do you have anything? And they said, well, we don't really recommend hooking these things up except to their own control system. And they said, but here's the instruction manual for the laser.
Casey, if you-
So I'm going to look at that tonight and see what it says. I might be able to make my own cable. The plug on it looks like a standard off the shelf plug, but
Okay.
the whole thing is, where do these wires go? What does each pin? I need to know that before I can do anything.
It sounds like they don't want to give away their secret sauce.
well, Casey, if you text me, so Chris and I figured out the whole thing for the JTech. So we had to go through, and we were for a while, and we were working with one of the engineers. So if you forward that to me, I'll help you out with that. Because we were having issues because with the laser port, we were trying to figure out, then we realized is with the spindle port, we were getting 12 volts. And so all it's doing, it's a PWM. So it's just, if you, depending on the power level you get there, that's how it's telling what power to run the laser at. And we were having issues. So it should just be a two wire. You're gonna have technically 4 wires. So 2 wires for your power supply for your, for the power to actually power the laser itself, the module, and then the 2 wires for the PWM. And you may have to, so with yours, you're gonna have to put up a 1K pull-up resistor between the 12 volt and the laser IO. Otherwise, you'll have some issues there. But if you send me that stuff, I'll look at it, see, because so you don't have a separate controller for it. It's just the diode itself.
Well, so far that's all I have. I mean, we're just trying to figure out how to hook this thing up. So, I mean, that's right, Patrick. I mean, that's what you guys had, was just the laser itself.
Yeah, so
And the laser control board, the laser power module and everything, it's actually on top of the laser. It's bolted on top. So
Perfect.
like the JTech, you have a separate little box you bolt on the wall and you just have 2 wires running over to it. That whole thing is actually bolted on top of the laser, and then it has a fan underneath of it. So I think it's an all-in-one package, because I only see 2 wires coming off of that board. So that's probably your pulse width modulation signal that's coming in there. And hopefully I can figure out, I haven't looked at the instruction manual that they sent me yet, but I will here this evening.
One thing we had to switch is we had to make sure we had high-low on there, because we were having issues. So where if it's pulling up or pulling down, so if you may have to inverse the power. We had to do that with the JTech too. We had to go through there and check to make sure we're doing it inverse on the controller. And there's just some dip switches in there to do that. But yeah, just let me know. I'll be glad to sit with you and show you some of the stuff. Like, I've got that 13 watt, I think, that but it has a separate controller. But at the end of the day, the PWM, we should be pretty good. The only thing you may have to change is some of the S code to fit that one better. Because we had to go through the firmware and modify the firmware. Chris and I were trying to figure out, and then not just the firmware, not just the G code, but actually the firmware, to make sure that because we have the S29, the S31, and the G code, and then the God, I'm trying to remember now the firmware. There was another one we had to do for making sure it was getting the right PWM.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, and once I start digging into it, I'll take a look and see what I need. Right, that's the whole thing right now, is I don't even know what I need, because they don't really give you a whole lot of information. I'm going to have to dig it out from the bottom up.
Yeah.
I've got a request out, Casey, to the engineer who designed that mount, that clamp mount that it came in, to see if he's got any other info he can share with us. He's out of China, right? So it's kind of hard getting a hold of him. But I got a request out for it right now too. So we'll see if I can get anything into that.
Who was the guy that helped us with the Patrick? Who was the guy that was helping Chris and I when we were doing the JTech one? There's a guy, because we were having and he was like, "Have you tried the pull-up resistor?" Both of us had forgot to check that.
Joel?
Joel, yes, he might be helpful too.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think he's seen this laser. So
yeah.
Yeah, he said they didn't send it. Okay.
So you found you have a 30 watt. You found a 30 watt diode.
So check this out, guys. This thing is ridiculous. I'm going to do a screen share here. But yes, I paid $400 for this unit. Let me look at where's my orders.
Because a 30 watt will do good. I've had, because with the 40 watt CO2 laser, it's plenty powerful to cut through. If you do a couple passes and you have a good air assist, with 40 watt, I can cut through a 1/2 inch of particle board. So Oh, yeah, I've seen that one, the Master 2. I didn't realize that was a 30 watt though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
I
what it
have that one.
says. So it says it comes with a 30 watt engraver on it. You know, who knows what it truly really is.
So
It says 7.5 watt plus APP. I know that said it told me at one point it was a 30 watt though. That's weird.
Yeah, so what's happening is these manufacturers from China
Yeah.
are putting in
The power.
how do I say, they're, whenever they calculate the wattage capacity, they actually calculate, they're using the transformer size limit, but that's not actually the transformer output.
Is this like power of the wheels versus power of the fly kind of thing?
Yeah, it's think of it this way, it's horsepower versus torque.
Okay.
Right? Completely freaking different. So they advertise a 30 watt laser. It's about 4.5 to 5
There,
watts.
there it is. Design. I saw 30 watt module and 7.5 watt output power. There it
Output.
is.
There you go. There you go.
Right. Never mind.
Yeah.
yeah, so I actually have one like that. It's so here you can see it here.
Ooh, what is that?
So this is the, God, I have a couple of these different ones. I've bought so I like, so more than making stuff, I actually like playing with the devices actually more than making things. This is the, I can't remember which one.
I've been wanting to use one of those.
This one's okay. I also have the little one that you see that's the I can grab it, the little red one that you put on the desk.
Guys, I need to sign off at this point. Have a good week.
No worries, David. Thanks for checking in.
Let me see if I can find a laser pecker here. So I also have a laser pecker. I'll find it. I really like laser pecker, and actually it cuts the foam board too really well. Laser pecker.
Well, what we're doing with it, right, is we're like with that unit I bought, it's got about a 32-inch gantry on it, and it only uses 2040 extrusion. We're going to mount the whole thing to the wall and then hang diver weights from it and see how well it runs around.
Yeah, because I think this is using 20. Yeah, I think this is using 2020. It looks like, yeah. Interesting. Where's the
Yeah, so I like that. So the reason I was interested in that unit, Drew, is because I've been curious about the ability of us hanging a unit on the wall and then not having two rails, not having a top and bottom rail, but having a single rail just like that one. Because that would prevent a user from having to get those rails aligned, right? But it can create extra leverage if you're using a milling machine rather than a laser engraver. So we're playing around with what actually truly is required in terms of hanging a unit, a 4x8 foot CNC from the wall.
Yeah, so here I'm sending you something real quick. So I'm gonna grab it. But I sent you a link real quick to the laser packer.
The only way to do that, Patrick, is that primary beam, the vertical beam that your X gantry would run on.
Mhm.
Just make sure you use linear rails and linear bearings. They have 0.0001 accuracy as an industry standard for NEMA. So
The challenge with those is that you have to use the full length of it though. And that means we got to ship over 4 feet of it. That's what, and then that gets into excess or what is it?
you can put 2 rails together.
Really?
This one requires
Yep.
no rails. The laser itself, the diode itself, there's a mirror inside of it. So this is the whole entire laser engraver and cutter. And it does
Really?
12 by 12.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I sent you a link of the thing. It's the laser pecker, but
Yeah.
you can use the diode like this. And this one actually is pretty powerful. Let me grab, I'll show you how it does with that phone board here in a second. Let me go grab something out of the car.
Yeah, so Casey, we've got, I think we've got a pretty viable MVP right now from a pricing standpoint. I think for a 4x8 foot, I'm still targeting sub $1,000 price point for a full 4x8 wall mounted. We'll see how it goes.
You can also use just a single custom gantry plate with probably just one spring loaded motor and just use rack and pinion. And they actually make the rack and pinion, they actually make the rack, right? It actually slides into the grooves on your extruded aluminum.
Well,
Now,
yeah, I love that idea, but it's vertically mounted and rack and pinion is typically gravity fed, right?
No. It can be any way you want because the spring on your motor that runs it racks it against the teeth on the gears, that's usually a spring load, right? What that does is if it's running and there's an issue, the spring will give and the motor will skip a tooth. Like if, I don't know, you fall against a gantry or a kid grabs the gantry and wants to hang on it, right? The motor, the spring will pop out and let it drop down. It protects itself. But I mean, any gantry that runs, any one that I've ever seen, even the multi-million $1 ones, all of the motors that are on those, that are on the side plates that connect to the rack and pinion, they're spring loaded, they're pre-tensioned.
Okay.
That way the gear, the whole motor pivots like this, right? And here's the bottom of your plate, and under here is going to be on the rail itself is going to be the rack.
Right.
The motor pivots up and there's a spring right here pulling the motor up against it.
Do you have anything of that you could reference, or like, I wouldn't even know where to look for that.
You just look up rack and pinion on Google. You'll see.
Well, which I have, like, and so we've been playing around with that. Again, my helical rack and pinion is like the one that I would love to roll with, right? Because it's just,
well, that's the I Ching, right? That's the I Ching of CNC is rack and pinion. That's the most accurate you could ever get.
Absolutely. But one of the challenges we're running against is just the cost of it, right? And so one of the options was they make like this ABS based version, like a kind of a resin based one versus, and it's like it's resin and steel. But I can't get any information about the longevity of the resin version, which is totally within budget, but no clue about its longevity and how often it would need to be replaced. Any thoughts there?
The ones that I had looked at were polypropylene with nylon. Yes. I mean, those things they're tough. I mean, polypropylene.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought.
We use that in the oil field to insert a pipe inside of a pipe for liquid petroleum. You know how nasty that stuff is? And it lasts for 50 years. That stuff is tough.
Okay. Because that's what I keep saying is I can get like 2-foot sections of that poly rack for like $1.50 or something, totally viable, right? But then everyone's like, oh well, you know, it's just going to wear out immediately. And it's like, I don't think that's true. I don't think it would sell it if it would wear out. Like, why would you even bother making it at that point?
Yeah, for the stuff that slides into the rails,
Which is exactly what I want.
That stuff is, I would think it's going to be harder to figure out how to keep it without moving in the rails, right? I mean, you'd have to have all those links that would be perfectly cut within plates. That way the rail is solid, but
because then we can sell 2-foot sections, right? We can do 2-foot sections of it and make it fully modular.
Yeah, but MakerMade's whole thing would be your custom end plate for your gantry with the motor plate that is spring loaded, right? I mean,
have a little in stuff right there.
It's really simple, guys. It's really simple.
It is. It so is. And again, we've got the cogs like where we need them to be. I think we can release like an MVP version of this. I would love for, especially like the guys in this group, to have a test mule. I would love for you all to have one of these and just put it through its paces. That's the goal anyway. I don't know how you all feel about it. Dustin, you as well.
I'd redo my frame on the wall and convert it to one of those just to run the crap out of it to see what we get out of those polypropylene rails. I wouldn't mind doing that. I mean, rack and pinion, like I said, is the I Ching. I mean, that's going to fix a lot of your accuracy issues. As a matter of fact, it'll make it way better than even some of your competitors on the market.
100% would.
It would be tough to compete against a 4x8 that actually had, accuracy, even if it was down to 0.01 instead of 0.001. Even if you had 0.01 inches, a 10,000ths of an inch. What the hell?
Hey, Casey, you get it, man. Like, so this is the conversation I keep having. Is like, well, you're not going to get the speed or the accuracy. I'm like, hold on. Who's not going to get what speed or what accuracy? Like, are we talking 1,000 inches a minute of speed and 10,000th of an inch accuracy? Or are we talking like 3 millimeters of accuracy and 30 inches a minute? Like, what are we like relative to? Yes, like the highest in CNC. No, but that's not who we're targeting. We're targeting folks at home who want to make a sign for a small business, not somebody who needs flawless, top level industrial CNC quality.
Well,
This
there's a
is- this is
difference
the work-
between, there's a difference between a small home business that needs to make 10 signs and a mass manufacturer that has a $5,000 machine that makes 50.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be IKEA's manufacturing
In
arm.
fact, that's one thing we fight with people, and people are like, when we do a prototype, like, can you do the manufacturing? I'm like, no, we're not. In fact, I do not want to use manufacturing.
Is your hand okay?
Oh, yeah, I caught it on some stuff earlier. I'm used to that. Like, if you look at my knuckles and stuff like that, when you have a scrap metal shop, that's pretty much the norm.
They have these things called gloves. They're this unique concept.
That's why they have things called calluses. I haven't got the calluses built up in the right places yet.
I'm the same way. If I'm not picking at least one splinter out of my fingers every day, like, yeah, I'm not doing it right.
Yeah, it's
Hey, guys.
my wife's given up on asking
See ya.
anymore.
You gotta
Hey,
head out,
guys.
Casey.
Yeah, I got to drop. I got a meeting coming up.
Casey, I'm gonna send
I
you
like
some questions about that rack and pinion. I'd love to throw some prototypes your way.
Yeah, no problem. All right.
Okay,
Talk to you
thanks,
guys later. Bye.
Later.
So I was going to say,
Yeah, it does.
I don't know that I can really necessarily help with the technical stuff like Casey or Drew. They're way above me on that stuff. But if you want me to put it through its paces in an uncontrolled environment, because my garage is not heated or cooled, I'm your guy, because it's going to get chilly this winter
Yeah.
in Kansas. So,
All right, Dustin, I'm putting you on the list.
Okay.
100%.
You'd be perfect too, because you want some people that aren't like Casey and I, because we overanalyze things at times, and you want just like a regular user looking at it and playing with it too, because you'll have totally different questions and totally different ways of looking at it than we will.
Art, I always say my number one job as like designer, developer, concept creator for these products is I have to break my own shitty idea, right? Because the users will find a way to do it. Like, that's your number one job as an inventor, is to break your own idea first and keep breaking it until it won't break, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, this is part of that process. But that'd be great, Dustin. Yeah, that's exactly what we need.
all right.
Cool. How's the loom coming?
It's coming along all right. I have
Is the completion looming?
it's
Sorry,
it's
I'll
looming.
leave.
No, I'm running into some issue with the thickness of the material I've got,
Mhm.
and what I'm buying is 4x4 rough cut lumber, and I'm cutting that down or using that to cut out the pieces, kind of raw, because I don't have like a joiner or a planer to really finish it off there. What I do is I put the boards on the machine, sand everything down so it's nice and smooth so it slides over it. However, I am running into some issues where I'm getting down to the last like 1/8 of an inch, the very last few passes that I'm cutting, and I'm running into just thickness issues. It seems like it's just going through so thick that I'm having to extend my bit and my router to the point where there is more deflection than what it seems to be comfortable with cutting through that thick material.
Is it, so it's a problem with just the fact that the material is so thick, or it's a problem with the fact that it's not plunging to the depth you're expecting it to plunge?
Well, when I set it up, I choke everything down as far as I possibly can, double check my depth, and then I've got to extend everything. I either have to move my router further down through the clamp, or I have to extend my bit longer. And both of those situations, it seems like I'm starting to cause enough deflection that I'm running into issues on those last few small
What's your
passes.
thickness?
It is about 0.8 inches.
It's not too bad. Have you tried just reducing the depth per pass?
Yeah, I'm down to like 1/10 of an inch per pass with a 1/4 inch bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're still getting some deflection on that?
Yep.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I keep going back to the fact that I think the 71 millimeter clamp has a gap on both sides of my router. I've got the DeWalt 611, and it fits snugly top to bottom, basically. You know how the clamp comes down on the top of the router. It
Yeah.
pushes down on the top and the back, but the side I can see down through that clamp on either side. And I think when I'm coming around on the curve, it actually just wiggles that router just enough to cause that issue to come up.
Have you, would you be up for trying to just like, you still have that piece of foam? Or one of those pieces of foam that came with the kit? I'm just trying to think of something you could like put in there, like if
Oh, I see what you're saying.
you could see if that, like wedging that in, not that I think that that's a permanent solution. I'm just trying to see if like that's a way to test if this truly is the culprit, right? Because the
Right.
other culprit could be like do you have the old aluminum extrusion M2, or do you have the new like steel frame version?
I have the new steel frame version. I believe I got it in May. So it's the
Oh, yeah.
2021 version.
Yeah, exactly. So that thing shouldn't be. So then my other question then is if you got that one, then maybe some of your grub screws are coming loose a little bit too, but
Yeah, I've checked all of them over the last couple of weeks. Every time I'm just kind of checking all of them. And that's where I ended up rounding out the screws on my clamp.
Gotcha. The one last thing I can think of, and this is the problem that I've been having that I need to go back and adjust my sled. How is your sled height, or your ring height on your sled? Because one thing I've noticed is like I've started on this new XL frame. I'm moving my my lower top beam to the front side, like we talked about, because I'm trying to reduce that offset at that angle between my upper beam, my lower beam, so that I can lower that ring height down and get it closer to the flush with the sled. And that should help a lot too.
Okay. I am just above halfway up on that height. I've brought it down a couple of times, which has really improved it. So
Good.
Pepe, if you're brand new, make sure you bring your ring down on the height of your sled. That will save you a lot of any chances of it tilting or anything like that when it moves back and forth. But I can definitely try to bring it down a little bit more. It just seems like I'm not seeing the tipping that I was before.
Yeah,
causing the issue. But again, maybe it is the fact that the center of gravity has changed a little bit since the router has moved down so far. And that means the ring is up above the cut area higher.
So the way I look at
it.
Yes, exactly. So this is always tough to explain if I'm not on video, but I think on video it's possible, right? So your top beam is at this angle and your work surface is at the same angle. They're offset. They're both at that 15 degrees, right? If you look perfectly down the side of your frame, you should see your chains running exactly that length, that line too, right? But a lot of times people's chains are slightly off to parallel. That's where that would be the only other thing I can think of. But again, to that point, even if you are straight, I'm one of the things that we're changing in the new version is going to be moving that lower top beam to the front side of those brackets so that we can get that ring sitting real close to flush on the sled to meet that perfect 15-degree parallel line, because I think that's going to really button it down nicely.
Yeah,
you might try that as well. But,
okay. Yeah, I'll run through that again. But I've been thinking over the last week and a half about building my own clamp that's taller instead of the thin little bit that makes it a little bit taller, so that there is less chance of a wiggle in the shaft of that router as I'm moving through.
Definitely. Please keep us posted on that.
Okay.
If that ends up being effective, we might end up making adjustments to our clamp as well.
Okay. Yeah. My biggest thing is I've got to be like, all right, so now I got to get some metal bits for my drill press so I can drill through that metal back plate on the Z-axis, so I can mount things a little bit better. Because I don't think
you should be able to tap that, right?
Well, I've never done it. I know I don't work in metal, so.
Okay, so there's these little, I think I got a set of them right here. I don't think you need a new tool for your drill press. I think.
You talk about the taps.
I think you just need a center punch kit.
Yeah.
Something like this. These little things, you just take a hammer to that and just hammer that through.
Okay.
And so like that's what I'm doing this to make an adjustment to the motor location on the Z-axis. I'm going to try and offset the motor sideways so that it doesn't get in the way of the hose anymore. And I'm using these to test it. So
if you're in a bind, you want to do that, you need a center punch for the metal so the bit doesn't wobble. You can always use a Phillips screwdriver and whack it, because you don't need it. You just need a dent enough where the bit's not going to wobble on you.
Yeah, it's true.
So I was thinking of like just drilling like a 1/4 inch hole through the metal plate and using 1/4 inch bolts to attach a new clamp to that whole system.
6
So-
in one, half a dozen in the other. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't,
Whatever.
like I said, I don't work in metal on a regular basis. All my stuff is all wood. So I'm like, all right, so I've got to get something to cut through metal.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Oh, there he goes.
That's really cool. So I'm doing the MakerMade. I don't know if you can see it here, but
Oh, neat.
and these are actually butcher blocks. They sell at Dollar Tree. So if you want butcher blocks to practice for practicing laser, and they perfect the Maslow's, they're pretty thick.
Drew's an influencer for MakerMade and for Dollar Tree.
I know it's crazy. I just, and we had the Dollar Tree buys for years. I never thought to like go by there. And one of my buddies like they have all kinds of crazy supplies you can get there, and sure as crap they do. And they actually have some decent stuff. But yeah, and so it's an interesting way. If you did a laser diode, and this will do pretty big. This will do 12 inches from 200 millimeters away, and you can do bigger if you do farther away.
Cool.
But the laser itself doesn't move. It's just a mirror in there that moves.
Oh, yeah.
So the laser itself sits there, and this is just a little stand I bought off of Amazon. But the laser packets are pretty cool, and they do a pretty good job.
It's neat.
I actually line things up right, but we'll see if I do that.
Drew, you need to do a video that says how to turn $1 into $30.
Yeah, well,
You get a
we'll
million
see. The bad
views.
thing I'm bad about doing, I buy lots of machines, but I'm bad about actually making the money with them because I enjoy playing with them, learning how to use them, and then start playing with other ones. So when I was in Shenzhen, China, it was bad. Like everybody was like, "Oh my god!"
Oh, yeah. What
I
were you doing out in Shenzhen, Drew?
Oh, I had to go down for the scooters. I was CTO of Blue Duck Scooters, so one of the bird line companies.
Did you do the Canton Fair or something? What were
Yeah, I
you?
did the Canton Fair a couple of years, and I actually brought back a bunch of stuff. In fact, I bought some of those roller skates, the Segway one wheels, and they have so much lipos. I'm like, you can't bring those on a plane. You can't check them through. And I didn't want to ship them, so I carried them. I ADHD, so I always fly first class when I go international because you don't want to stick me in the people next to me will kill me if I'm not. So I can bring back more luggage. So, but I flew around China with them and also took the train. So I had to go between Shenzhen and Guangzhou and a bunch of places. I carried them on the plane with me every time. And people were like, and my buddy was with me, was like, there's no way they're gonna let you on a plane with those. I'm like, yeah, they will. They sure did. But yeah, I brought all kinds of stuff back. I was having fun.
International first class, man. It's pretty bougie.
It's not, well, that was nice when you have a mega corporation that has.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
For sure.
That's the perk, some of the perks I missed. It's nice having
I've
exactly.
done direct from Dallas to Shanghai, and it was like 18 hours. It was the longest American leg, and I did it in coach. It's terrible.
Oh, yeah. I can't do it. It's
You just find whatever vice
Yeah, you
or
have to
mallet you
sedate.
can to knock yourself out.
Yeah. But we had fun. Like I like this too. I love China. I do. I think that.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
You got to go to Shenzhen too. You and Chris went to Shenzhen, right?
I've been going for over a decade. Yeah.
It's so awesome. You have to though. Like, so every company I've set a CTO of where I had to go in and get our manufacturing going. They're like, oh, we can, do this, and to make deadlines and all that. It's hard. You have to be up there. For the scooters, we were in a bind because Bird had just bought up a ton of stuff. They just got their $1 billion round, and so I had to fly 17 people up to Shenzhen. And I had to get 5 to Shenzhen to get to our software developer and our hardware developer. Then I had to get 10 over to our different our factories during the middle of Chinese New Year. People had never been overseas before. 12 of them had never been out of the country.
I don't know why you're going during Chinese New Year. That's not much you can get done at that point of the year.
I had to miss it. So it was a week before Chinese New Year, and I got all our shipments out before Chinese New Year because it shuts down. And then they're like, you're going to be screwed because we were in the middle of, we were over by Wuyi. I was, and they're like, you never get out of China during Chinese New Year. I was like, we'll be fine. We got us out, but I almost lost one person.
It's the largest human migration in the world every year. Right?
That's be real. It'd be so awesome.
So one other thing, guys, I wanted to bring up next Wednesday, if you haven't seen it, we've got our small business summit. It's 6 p.m. Eastern time. So it's for anybody who's wanting to or currently makes money using their M2 or their Maslow. We're going to have everybody come together. We're going to have several people give like brief presentations on how members of the community started using this tool to help make money. And then we'll get presentations from our own team here at MakerMade, who can help you under tips and tricks on getting started on Etsy, as well as how to maximize your dollar.
Bring it up, Patrick, or you just me.
Do what? Oh, okay. Well, anyway, so next Wednesday, 6 p.m. should be a lot of fun. And we're also giving the opportunity for, if you have your brand name for your business, you want us to share it on our website, as well as we're going to go through everybody's shopping pages and pick out items for our holiday shopping guide. So we're hoping to drive more dollars to the community for giftable items this year. So there's posts out in the owners group for both of them. So just keep an eye out.
I had something on, I had something I thought of the other day. I was going to text you before I forgot it. I'll think of it again, but yeah, about that. I can't remember what it was, but
Drew, are you going to do a 2021 dumpster fire?
no, I don't know. We may. I'm trying to. I don't know what I want to do. I'm just at that point where I'm just I've been downsizing, having fun, just trying to keep the business where I can just, the whole purpose of starting it was just to be, I was tired of being corporate and on the road all the time. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna relax a little bit, do things I love. So I'm trying to get, I may, but that was a lot. I had to hire like 15 people within 24 hours. I was like, to keep all that going.
Jeez.
Yeah. We literally pulled people in from the homeless shelter. I had one of my friends that volunteers at the homeless shelter, and I was like, you just grab everybody.
Oh yeah, I remember you said that.
Assembly line, yeah.
Where did that picture go? I had a, oh, here it is. Let me see. I was going to show you all what Drew sent me.
Oh, speaking of, I guess.
There it is. Share. So this downtown in Brooklyn, if y'all can see that, that's what Drew sent us. So my wife and I lived in New York, right? And we rode these trains every single day. So he sent this over and we put it in our, we got a split level house. We put it there to point it towards the downstairs. So but that was pretty awesome.
What is it made of?
Metal.
Oh, okay.
It's aluminum.
Yeah, I think this, my wife had bought, because my wife went to college in Sarah Lawrence, at Sarah Lawrence, and then she, so she used to ride that train. She gave it to my daughter. My daughter didn't want it anymore, and so I was like, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, so I'm glad. It made me happy that somebody, because I wasn't using it for scrap, so it's so happy.
Yeah,
My wife was, yeah, so she was excited about that too.
Yeah, it's a neat little engraver there, Drew. It's pretty cool.
It is kind of cool. I'm sending you that 2-layer ABS. Y'all should do something too for that business side. I'm gonna send this. It says you'll have it Saturday. I'm sending it to your house, I think. Is that
okay?
Is that your house?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. All right. Yeah, you'll have it there Saturday, because that stuff would be kind of cool to show for that business expo.
Drew, do you want to give a little? So I'm asking for a few members of the community to give a little brief presentation in that business summit. Would you be interested in talking about how you use the M2 and Maslow's for your business?
Yeah, because I can, and I can talk about like some of the prototyping stuff too, because there's people that want to do custom fabrication. I can talk to them about, there's things we have, but how the Maslow really impacts us and being able to do just signs for events and how we can work with multiple materials, stuff like that. Yeah. And how also prototyping, how it makes it super easy when we just need to be able to quick scale model of something.
Yeah. So the way I want to do it, Drew, is I want to have like 3 or 4 businesses like yours, like give like a 3-minute overview. Like I started with the M2 or I incorporated it into my business. This is what I do. This is how really quick how I use it. And then that way everybody can kind of pick out sort of the commonalities between each of these stories to latch onto of how do they incorporate this product in there, right? And what types of businesses are we using? I'm hoping with a few examples like that. And then Q&A for essentially a roundtable Q&A in a sense for everybody who presented after the fact.
Yeah, and I could talk to on that. What I'll say is on that side too, or instead, I had originally bought it for me personally just to play with and stuff like that, because I'd always wanted one. I'd always wanted a shop bot, and I just couldn't spend the money, didn't have the room for a shop bot, especially at the house at the time. And so, and then once I got it, I was like, you know what, we can use this. And once we started the business, I was like, this is perfect for the business. And there's people, there's things where they talk about, but there's pieces where you can incorporate into your existing business or you know, or you can migrate if you, maybe you're getting it for your own personal stuff to learn, and then you can
Yep.
turn it into a money-making device for yourself to cover its cost.
Hey, Pepe, where are you in Germany? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, I have to open the microphone.
Yeah.
You repeat, please.
Where in Germany are you? Oh, then you froze.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time in Berlin. It was like a cool country.
Can you hear us, Pepe? All good. He's running. No worries.
So
Cool.
I'm sorry, but I forgot my phone and my mobile.
Oh, gotcha.
Because I'm connecting my mobile because Wi-Fi in the house is not working everywhere.
All good.
So could you repeat, because I had some interruptions?
Yeah, I was just asking where in Germany you are.
I'm coming from Wolfenbüttel. It's near Hanover.
Okay.
Wolfenbüttel is it's a famous little town.
Yeah.
Maybe you know Jägermeister. Maybe you know.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately, I do.
Okay.
Hey,
Mr. Meister and I go back.
hey, jumping back on that whole Makerverse login certificate has expired. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, of course.
You think it sells SSL? Hey, speaking of, I thought it was speaking of Jägermeister, he brought in an Irish car bomb. But
Are you able to share?
No, it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
1 sec.
did you figure out how to do it?
Options.
It's really easy.
Okay.
Actually.
All right, you're good to go.
Okay.
Just want to add to one point. In the meanwhile, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, I checked the easel, and just one question: is it better to import in easels the G code? So at first, I had to install the post processor for easel, fusion to easel, and then import the G code in easel.
I always import SVGs into easel and then export G code out of easel. Did you get that?
Same here.
Same, Dustin.
Mhm.
Yep. Pepe, you're breaking up. We import we import SVGs and export G code.
Okay.
Your SSL certificate expired.
Yep.
Okay, well,
Bad, yell at Chris.
yeah, that is.
I'm sorry. Hopefully this helps you figure out quickly how to get that fixed.
Oh, it's easy. They just renew it. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
You won't even have to recert it.
So SVG and easel to get details.
Yeah, we need you. So, hey, Patrick. So speaking of, Gaston is learning how to use, he's doing the sign I was just telling you about. So we're doing the Beer Fest sign. And so he's wanting to learn how to use he's starting to learn how to use the Maslow now. So.
Okay. Cool.
So he's been going through and learning easel, and I've been hands off. My explanation is watch Casey's videos, and here's this. But so he'll
watch Casey's videos.
I upgraded the firmware on the other one, and I found because I had the main one we use. I upgraded because I had left everything stable just because we use it for a lot of stuff, and so now I upgraded the firmware, upgraded Makerverse and everything else. So it's all the latest now. So. We'll see.
Cool. Let's see what Chris says about this. Dustin, it's on a Windows computer, right?
Yes. Now this is not my machine or my computer. My machine is hooked to. This is my desktop inside. It's not my laptop. I take with me. But I've got Makerverse on it, and it's telling me the same problem other people are having. I've already logged in several times, obviously. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks like it might be affecting everybody.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm on text group with Open Workshop and Skiles on that right now. So we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna actually hop so that I can go focus on that. But anything else on this thing, guys?
Hey, I'm
Yeah.
gonna post real fast in the chat one more good
Uh-huh.
calibration video I use to kind of understand how to set up all the chains. If maybe watch it, I think it's like 30 minutes, might be helpful for you guys as well.
Yeah, please post that. It'd be great. Go ahead and drop it right in.
So Patrick, I think I've resolved the login issue I had. I logged into email via the PC that I was going to try to use for Makerverse.
Okay. Great.
Now I'm trying to make an image of Makerverse on a SD card. I thought I could do that on the PC that I've got here, the laptop, but the instructions are not very clear on how to do that. Don't know if you can take a minute and walk me through that or give me some tips on that.
I'm sorry, David. You broke up there on which part you're having trouble with now?
I'm trying to make an image on an SD card of Makerverse. I presume that's what I want to do in order to load Makerverse onto the Raspberry Pi. If there's some other way to do it, that's fine with me.
Oh, you're doing the Raspberry Pi. Okay. Ooh, that one is outside of my wheelhouse for sure. I've never gone through that process. But if you, David, if you submit that ticket,
So
Mike,
the SSL on that one is, so you're having issues with the SSL logging to Makerverse on the Pi?
Well, I presume what I want to do is make the proper image of Makerverse, which as I understand it is just customized Debian.
Yeah.
I make that image, I put it on an SD card, and then I plug the SD card in and boot up off it.
So if you're wanting to use the Pi, what Pi are you going to be using?
Raspberry Pi 4.
Okay, Pi 4. Okay. So I would do, if have you used the Pis a lot, or are you getting?
No.
Okay.
No, I
So
haven't.
use Noobs, download Noobs, and just use the Debian. Use use a Debian install. Because when you do Noobs, you'll be able to pick. So there's a Noobs image on pi.org.
Well, I believe the kit that I bought had Noobs on an SD card. I put the whole thing together. Excuse me, I put the whole thing together and I booted up. The Pi is running fine, but I need to put Makerverse on it. And I'm trying to figure out what that procedure is. And as I understand it from the documentation I've seen, I need to make an image of Makerverse, which has its own customized Debian version. That's fine. I just need to know how to do that. I need to know where to get the image. I need to know how to put it onto the SD card. And the documentation that's on the Makerverse site is just not clear. It says, well, there's a light version and a full version. And then you follow the link that it tells you. And instead of 2 versions, there's something like 12 along with other software.
Hey, have you gone to the website and downloaded the Raspberry Pi image itself?
When you say the website, I did not need to go to the sorry?
MakerMade.com. I just put a link in the chat. There is a Makerverse page that has a download for Windows, Mac, and Raspberry Pi. I just downloaded the Raspberry Pi and it is a .img file. So I think it's an image. I'm no expert. I only play around with Raspberry Pis, but I think it's the image you're looking for.
So let me, so I sent you a link right now in the chat and it has a link to it. So you can use the Raspberry Pi image to image that SD card. So if you want to, you can download the Makerverse image and image the whole card, and that will have the OS and everything on it. And it's an easy way to image it. So there's a tool where you'll just, you'll put your SD card in your computer, and so because you're gonna have, there's some things you have to do. You have to create the partitions and everything else. And the imaging tools will automatically do that when they do a write of the image. So it has a link in there to an imaging tool for Mac and OS, or Mac and Windows. And you can image, so instead of using that instructions for the Raspberry Pi image, you're gonna use that instructions for the Makerverse image you download. The other option you can do too, if you want to, and once you're on your Pi, if your Pi is already booted up, or already installed or everything else and you're running the Debian, you can actually just go through and download the package file, and you can go and Linux. If you Google on Linux on how to install a package, there's some package manager tools. You may also search in the Raspberry Pi App Store because sometimes what they're starting to do too is link different, they're putting links in there because the Raspberry Pi App Store, all it really is different links to GitHub, different Git repositories, and will automatically deploy the package for you. Now that's gonna be separate. That's like installing a Windows file, a Windows application onto a Windows.
Okay, but
machine.
the package you're talking about is a Makerverse package? Where is it?
So
Okay, sorry.
I've dropped, guys, David, I dropped a link here in the chat. It's makerverse.com and it's the Raspberry Pi image right there. So that's the entire installation guide. Have you gone through that, David?
No, I have not.
Okay, so there, look in the last link in the chat, click that link. That is the link to the Makerverse Raspberry Pi image page.
And that will be better anyways, 'cause that's gonna be running Raspbian. So there's different, so that one's based, it's gonna be based on Debian, but since they're using the light, and the full, I would use the desktop. I would not use the.
All right,
But
Patrick, I have gone to this link. It says choose release, and if you click on latest release,
Mhm.
you end up in on a page that has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Okay, so
dozen
are you
different.
running on Windows or Mac?
I'm using Zoom on a Mac. Next to me is a PC that's running Windows.
Okay, so whichever one you're going to be running on,
Yes.
there's these two packages at the bottom that just say Mac OS and then Windows EXE. Those are the two
Uh,
right there.
that's
but
four. Okay,
those
yeah.
are not, those won't run on the Raspberry Pi.
They won't. Okay.
No, that's the Makerverse install. So if you want to install.
Right. That looks to me like if you want to install it onto your Mac or onto your PC, which is not what I want. I was expecting to use the USB port on my Windows laptop to create an SD card that works in the Raspberry Pi. If there's another way, I'm open to it, but that's what I thought I needed to do.
I think
So
that's the file that I,
the best way I would tell you, and we work with, that's one of my background is electrical engineering and embedded devices. So this part here, we have hundreds of Raspberry Pis around the office because this is what we. So your best bet is I would if you use that image that came with the SD card when you bought your Pi 4, I would go through and I would download. I would do. If you want me to share my screen, I can do that real quick. I
hey,
would
Drew,
download.
do you see my screen?
Whose screen am I looking at?
This is my screen. So this is on the
That's
MakerMade
Dustin?
website. Yep.
Okay. Yes.
There's Makerverse, and then
Yes.
there are 3 versions you can download.
Yes.
That Raspberry Pi one right there. Let's see. Let me see if I can pull that up. Is this file right here? And when I extract it, it is an image file.
Yeah.
It is 1.6 gigs in size. And I think that is what you're looking for. You just want this image, and then you would image it onto the SD card. And I think that was what would boot your Raspberry Pi.
Okay,
Yes.
so to image it on the SD card, if I'm on a Windows laptop, I just drag and drop it somehow, or what?
No,
No,
you're going to need a
to,
way to actually install it, format, and create that image in the SD card.
And I
Oh,
sent
what
you a
is-
link in the chat. If you go to the chat, I sent you a link right above the other one that has that says Raspberry Pi blog, Raspberry Pi imaging utility, because it'll make it so much
Yes.
easier. Because there's other ways you can do it through the command line. But if you go to in the chat, will you pull this up real quick?
I see that you did it in the chat, Drew. Now, if you close this Zoom link, I'm going to lose that, right?
Yeah, I'd copy and paste it.
Yeah, in this screenshot, makermade.com/pages/makerverse, that should be in the chat as well.
So if you download the utility, there's 2 things you want. You'll need that image that Dustin's showing you. You need to download that image file, the IMG file, because that has the operating system, the the Makerverse software installed, everything else, so you don't have to install it separately. And it'll have, and then you'll go to use this imaging tool, so you don't have to do the command line to do an image of it. And you'll use the imaging tool, and that will image the SD card for you. So you'll open this imaging tool on your Windows machine. It's will tell you to put the SD card into your SD card reader on your PC. And then
All right, that imaging tool works on Windows?
Yes, it works on Windows and Mac. Yep, there's one for Windows and Mac.
Okay.
But instead of picking the Raspberry Pi stuff like the images I talked to you about in this tutorial, you're just going to pick that image that Dustin's showing you, the image file that Dustin's showing you. and that will image it for you. Then you put it in there, and there's a YouTube video on that link too. They'll walk you through it. It's super easy because there's other ways you can do it through the command line through through CLI, but it's much more complicated because you need to destroy your the old partitions, and then you need to, especially if you have noobs, if that SD came with it, there's gonna be like 5 partitions because it has noobs on it. And so this will take care of all that for you. It'll
Okay,
wipe
and this image that I end up with, it's gonna run Makerverse. Is it just a standalone app or is it some kind of server?
No, it's actually the it's going to be the Raspbian OS, which is like with the Makerverse installed on it, and so you'll be able to double click it just like you would with your Windows PC. But it
So
also
this
does-
is an application. It's not running some server. Is that right?
well, it has an operating system and the application. Yes,
Does it have a GUI or is it completely
Yeah. Oh, it has a
command
GUI.
line?
It has a
Okay.
GUI. That's why you want to do. I think that one. That's why on the other link that Patrick sent, there's 2 links because there's a light OS, which is all CLI or command line, and then there's the desktop OS, which you want the desktop OS, which I think that 13 is desktop OS. And technically, they all are going to have desktop OS in them. You could, but you can set to boot. You can set Linux to boot straight to CLI or command line versus booting to the desktop OS.
Yeah, and I would recommend that if you are unfamiliar with imaging or flashing a card, an SD card, you might try this application called Etcher.
Yeah, Etcher.
Which-
Etcher is awesome.
Yeah, it'll simplify the entire process. You'll just put the SD card in your computer. You'll open up Etcher. You'll select the file, which is that Raspberry Pi Makerverse file. And then it'll select the drive. You'll just point it to the SD card, and then you'll hit flash, and it will wipe the card out. So make sure you don't have anything on there that you have to save, because it's going to all go away. And then it will write that image to the SD card so that when you take that SD card out of your computer, put it in your Raspberry Pi and boot up your Raspberry Pi, it'll boot up the OS from there.
Okay, now when you say it wipes it out, I did reformat my SD card to
Yeah.
FAT32 because it's a larger card and I was told otherwise Raspberry Pi didn't recognize it.
It won't matter. You're not going to be running FAT32 anyways with Linux. So you'll
Yeah,
be
this
fine. Etcher's going to go ahead and partition it. It's going to go ahead and create the file systems, everything for you. You don't have to do any of that. You're
It does it
gonna
all
do-
for you.
So
Select that
Etcher will
file.
reformat whatever format is needed.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, right. I can agree. Use it too.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
Okay.
Raspberry Pi. I think the
And
Raspberry Pi-
Etcher works on Windows or?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it might be for both.
I think they have all 3 versions. If not, it looks like the one in the Raspberry Pi is actually using Etcher now. So the Raspberry Pi is licensing Etcher.
Oh, cool.
So
Awesome.
yeah, so it's actually so either way, if you can't find an Etcher for that, but then that Raspberry Pi tutorial is actually based on Etcher because Etcher's open source. So.
Yeah. So Etcher's the best. It's the easiest
Okay,
way to
and-
learn how to
and-
do this.
And correct me, is there in fact some sort of server version of Makerverse that you can log into from elsewhere?
That does have it. That version you're installing there, you will have an IP. You can enable that in the settings under Makerverse. Chris wrote that into there. It's in all the versions, and you'll get an IP. You can log into it. You can also set up RDP on the Linux and just RDP in remotely.
Okay, but it also has I mean, it does not require an internet connection. I can simply log into the Raspberry Pi and run Makerverse in my garage where there's no Wi-Fi.
Yes, you'll still have to use a USB to walk it out to your the USB to get files over there if you don't have it on network. But yes.
Okay. All right, well, I'll get Etcher and then make the SD card and put it in the Raspberry Pi. Very well.
If for some
Good
reason you
luck.
can't get Etcher, use that tool that is in that link. You can't get it for Windows. And that link, there's
You're talking about the Imager utility?
Yeah, it's the same as Etcher. It's just gonna have you do the same thing. It's gonna have you select the file. If you scroll down, it's gonna have you select the file. Because I think if you scroll up a little bit.
Right here. Right.
Yeah, but scroll up a little bit to show the screenshots.
Oh, hang on. I
Okay.
did that wrong. So
There you go. So right here, those images right here below the YouTube, it's the same thing. So I think it's based on Etcher. You're picking the SD card down here, and where it shows Raspberry Pi below the OST, those little screenshots below the YouTube video.
you're gonna select the image, you're gonna select the SD card, and it's gonna create it for you.
All right.
But
And I saw a reference somewhere. Is this
first?
is this thing using Docker or something?
What?
The Makerverse image.
No, so the way images work, images have been around. So image is just basically a binary compile of the OS. So
Right.
it's just a digital copy, a precise copy of the operating system or the disk itself.
Right.
So Docker is something. Docker's an application layer that runs on top of different servers.
Right. I thought I saw a reference to it somewhere in all the pages I've been scrolling through.
You can have Docker instances that call to it. There's Docker APIs. I'm sure Chris has implemented in there. But yeah.
Okay. That's for another day. All right. Very well then.
Cool. Well, thanks, guys.
Pepe, any updates from Germany?
No, at the moment, no. But one further question: it's possible to get an invitation for the meeting on next Wednesday?
I can drop it here real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 second. Call.
That's my calendar, so I don't forget.
Where did I put that invite? Actually, got it on my email here.
Because I'm really interested. I'm just starting my new business, and
Yeah, of course. Well, all the more reason to join in and learn from others who are already doing it, right? All right.
So that'll be what, midnight or 2 a.m. your time, Pepe?
I don't know. I have to check.
See,
6
I
p.m.
think we're
Eastern.
minus five UTC. Or are we -6 right now? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking 6.
Okay, we might with daylight savings time.
Minus
like that.
six. Yeah.
6:30 there right now. Okay. All right. Well, there it is in the chat, guys.
Okay.
That's the link. So
Next Wednesday at what time?
5 our time, Drew.
Oh,
Yeah.
5 Central.
5 Central. Okay.
5 Central, 6 Eastern. Yep.
I think it's my calendar, so I don't forget.
I'll be putting out a lot more reminders in the group too.
Okay.
Cool.
Hey,
All
I
right,
have
y'all.
it overnight to you, so you should get the. I mean, I guess Prime. You'll get an Amazon package.
Sounds
I'll
good.
get it straight from Amazon. It'll be easier. Cool.
All
All
right.
right. Thanks,
I gotta
guys.
go, so
Y'all have a good rest of your week. Talk soon.
see you
All
later.
right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Well,
Bye.